Hi, everybody, again. Hello, V Gates. Hola. That's all. That's all I know. That's all I got. Welcome to my 21st, 22nd, 20-something day of my 30-day lives, Facebook lives. I guess, hi, everybody. Hi, Mike. I guess I'm going to wrap this up next week, right before I go to Reno with Chris Godinez. Hopefully I will see, maybe if any of you are in the area, that'd be super cool. Welcome back for all of you who are joining me again. And welcome to new people. Glad to have you here. And just a reminder that my book is out. No, wrong. It's not out in print, but I have it in print. I have copies in print, and I'm giving away 10 of them, probably more, on the last day of my Facebook Lives. And so all you have to do to put your name in to enter an autographed copy that I will mail to you I almost said at no expense to you, not at your expense, at my expense, is to share my videos. So any of the Facebook Lives videos that I've done, I get a notification when you do. So you don't have to let me know. I see it anyway. Excuse me, I'm gonna have a sip of water. I have a frog in my throat. Hi, everybody. Yes, so you can just share my videos and it'll be good. The more you share, the more entries you have into winning a book. If you don't want to wait or, till next year when the book will be in bookstores, I told you my Barnes & Noble story. So it's going to be a special day next year when I'm in Barnes & Noble in the self-help section. I dreamed about that moment for a really long time, and it's going to come true next year. But for those of you who would like to read the book before that, this is the original cover. This is the new cover. The cover. This is the original. You can go to my website. I will put the link in right now and get yourself a free copy that you can read on your computer and your Kindle, whatever you prefer. So you can head on over there afterward. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet, Kirsten. And get it and read the book if you want to. And you can read it and get a free copy of that and still put your name in to win a hard copy. I would love to send you one. Okay, we have been talking. I've been talking. Y'all have been so kindly and generously listening about a lot of heavy shit that all has to do with narcissists and the abuse that they inflict upon their victims / targets, whatever you want to call it. We've been dealing with a lot of heavy stuff. So today, because I was just in a mood, sometimes I get in these moods where you have those days where like every single thing could possibly go wrong, like days in a row, and you're like, really, universe? Really? Seriously? Seriously. What lesson is here? Because I'm really not seeing it. Anyway, so I was in that kind of mood, and I thought, you know what? I want to have some fun today because it's not fair that any of us, all of us who have been victims of a narcissist's abuse and terror, right? They terrorize us. I put it this way. A narcissist reaches in, rips your heart out, and eats it in front of you. That's what it feels like to be in love with a narcissist. So the recovery and healing process, we know this. It's horrible and awful and long and just We wouldn't wish it on our worst enemies, would we? Because we're good people. So this is what we've been talking about, all the sorts of topics, and we'll continue talking about that. And we're going to talk about some, this one particular trait of true narcissists. Again, yesterday I was pointing out, I think it was yesterday, well, one of these days anyway, it's on record that I pointed this out, that I'm always talking about true narcissists. Remember that all narcissists are assholes, but not all assholes are narcissists. So sometimes we've all been an asshole at one point in our life, right? That doesn't mean we're a narcissist. But we've all been an asshole at one point, even if it was just for a moment in time, or an hour, or maybe even a whole day. Who knows? We've been an asshole, and then the next day we're not an asshole anymore, and we apologize or we make amends or whatever we have to do. So I'm talking about true narcissists when I'm talking about narcissists. And one of these traits is that they do have, depending on the degree, all of them do have a degree of paranoia. Sometimes it's very subtle, and this can be really funny. Here's what I advocate for all of you who are, obviously when you're at the very, very beginning of your healing journey, it's super, super painful. Again, it's like you're in labor, right? And you're just peaking. And you're not having any valleys of pain. You're just peaking the whole time. It can be excruciatingly painful, and you think, I'm not going to make it. Just like I did in childbirth the first time. I was like, I'm not coming out of here alive, so I'm going to decide not to do this. And I told the nurse, I'm like, I've changed my mind. Okay, can't do that. So this kind of pain, yes, it can be overwhelming. I advocate humor. My humor comes in a really dark and twisted form. This has been created by all my experiences with a narcissist, and of all that time that I spent in the place of pain, where none of these things I talk about now were funny at the time. None of them. Even though in my head I might have been thinking, you're a fucking idiot. Oh my God, you're crazy. So I wanted to bring some fun into today and talk. We're allowed to talk, people, remember? I was saying, yes, I think it was yesterday. I don't know. It's on record. Check it. I swear it's on record that I said this. But we are grown-ass adults. So nobody can tell us to shut up. We can tell our stories. We can tell our funny stories and laugh at them now. Because if it makes us feel good, why not? Right? We're just sharing the truth. It's not like we're making up shit. You don't have to make up shit with a narcissist. It's all written for you. Okay, so that's why, let me just check comments. So this is why, while we are talking about this, I want to have some fun. If any of you have little funny stories that now you're in a place where you can look back and you can laugh at this, I understand some of you are still in it's just all pain all the time. But like I said, a good chunk of my survival through the pain that I went through, and this includes being stalked and cyber stalked and having my life stolen from me. I've like disappeared off the face of the earth to everybody for about 1.5 years there when I was going through this. Even in that, I had this bit of humor that was starting to grow. It was like a little plant that was being watered with. So now I have stories that we can laugh at. And I want you all to laugh at your stories and not be afraid to tell them. You're not making fun of somebody. This isn't coming from a bad place. We're releasing our pain by saying what happened to us. And it just so happens that later on it happens to be really funny. It does, because narcissists, all of what they are and all the horrible things that they do, inherently there's something darkly humorous about them. This is not to take away from how dangerous they are and how damaging they are. But later on, when you step away from it, That's what I think. I think it's really funny. Like my oldest son and I, we have a hoot of a time thinking of things that happened. Well, at the time, they were not funny. They were not funny. In fact, some of them were scary. They're not funny, but now they're funny because we're free. I'm free. I can talk about this shit. I'm a grown woman. You can't shut me up. You try. That's funny, Trish. So Trish says that she used humor the whole time. She was stalked and followed and had so many flying monkeys that Dorothy was jealous. Yes. Yes, I totally know where that comes from. Okay. Again, when I'm talking about, the subtle paranoia and sort of delusional aspect of a narcissist, I'm not going into like the serious psychological side of paranoia, right? I'm talking about the smaller, again, the subtle aspects that are very common in true narcissists. And again, feel free to share your own, but these are just small, again, see, like I can't stop smiling because I keep thinking about all these in my head and they're super funny. Okay, why are narcissists, why are they kind of paranoid? We know why they're a little bit delusional, right? Because when somebody is all about themselves and they are wearing mask after mask after mask, depending on, they do have a delusional sense of reality and people around them. People to them are either useful or out to get them, right? That's where that sort of paranoia comes in, right? They see people as, can I use you? Like a vampire's, like, do you have pumping blood in your veins that I can suck out because I'm hungry? If you don't, right? A narcissist is like, then what are you here for? Like, let me check your real motivation. That's one of the reasons they're paranoid, and believe that everybody's out to get them. This happened in so many times. Oh my God, it was so funny. The reason is that, okay, at the core, narcissists are what? They're paranoid because they're afraid that they're going to be found out, right? Because they have super fragile egos. A lot of you know this, where you got to be super careful what you say to a narcissist. Like, they are so flipping sensitive. So sensitive when it comes to personal things. I'm sure a lot of you have stories about the most random, crazy, that you're like, what am I missing here? This is crazy. What's going on here? And they're also highly insecure. So those two combinations, and they're full of shame, right? They're narcissists, all abusers who use control to have power over another human being are inherently cowards, period. They're not strong. People who have to overpower other people so that they can take what they want from them, abuse them, whatever, they're weak. They're cowards. I'm saying it here. You heard it here. Right? They are. These are not strong people. These are very weak people. So you take this combination of, having this fragile ego and being insecure and living in a place where you're every day afraid that, paranoid, terrified that you're going to be found out, and just living with all that shame that they try to protect and also cover up. So with all that combined, you have a person who is just walking around really scared shitless all the time, which is where the paranoia comes in. But those fragile egos of theirs, I tell you what. So it was interesting because it's one thing, like, we don't want to be, nobody wants to be attacked personally, right? I mean, we all have somewhat our egos. We all have a bit. We're all fragile in that place of, you know, when someone's going to outwardly attack you for who you are personally, like make it, you know, make a personal comment to you. But beyond that, where it's just, they're super, super sensitive. And that's why victims walk on eggshells all the time too. First of all, you don't know what mood they're going to be in at any given time or any given day when they walk in the door. You have no clue. Is it going to be Jekyll or is it going to be Hyde? And then if you approach them, and a lot of you know this from that we get trained to approach them with care. We have to approach them with care. We have to be super careful. We have to watch our words. We have to be careful of the look on our face, like everything, right? Yes, Bonnie says humor is the only way to turn tears into laughter. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we all deserve this, to do this. I deserve it. You deserve it, to laugh. Again, we're not making fun of anybody. We are laughing at our experiences. We need to laugh. Otherwise, oh my God, it's going to kill us, right? That's how I felt a lot of the times. When I would look at certain things in my past, I'm like, I need to laugh about this or I'm going to kill myself. Because seriously speaking, I'm not just throwing that out there, because the pain was so great. I had to turn a lot of that. That's why my humor is so dark. Because you just got to go there. When you see dark shit and experience dark shit, your humor is dark. It's just a consequence. No, that's a bonus, I think, of going through this stuff. So the narcissist has this, Bonnie, here's my doggies playing with their squeaky toys. I know. So the narcissist has this fragile ego. So for example, and this was much later in my marriage. And this goes back to, you know, feeling that sense of confusion that, you know, we all feel living in a fog, because a lot of the times we're just like, we're trying to add shit up in our head, you know, like this isn't what, or we're trying to catch up all the time because narcissists change. And you don't know, again, walking on eggshells, you don't know what they're going to give you at any given moment. So a lot of this, you know, I would just sort of stand back and be like, because at the same time, he was telling me that I was too sensitive, too emotional, I was high maintenance. And I remember that, so I would think about these things, I'm like, I'm the one that's too sensitive? You know, want to know what the truth is? We're not the sensitive ones. We're any victim of a narcissist is actually the one with all the fucking strength. We're the strong ones. So this one time, just to this fragile ego, but this happened. This was a constant. I just always had to, I had to get my like PhD in figuring him out and how to talk to him, right? Because I had to cross all my T's and dot all my I's and just make sure I did this all the right way. But I still made a ton of mistakes. Of course you're going to make mistakes because narcissists are so fragile. Okay. So one time it was morning. He's cooking breakfast for the kids. I was in the kitchen. I don't know what happened. He decided to make fried eggs in olive oil, and he put the olive oil in, and then he turned it right up to high on our gas stove, right? And then he goes off. I don't know what else he was doing. So I'm just sitting there going, as I see the smoke coming from the oil. And yeah, and I'm just like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, but he's not paying attention, right, to the potential fire problem we have. He turned it up all the way to high. and there was a lot of olive oil in this pan that he's going to fry the eggs in, right? So all I did, because now it's smoking, and I'm like, oh my God, if he even tries to go over there, I was actually thinking of him. I'm like, he's going to go over there and put that egg in, and you know, what's going to happen? So I went over there, and all I did was I just turned I tried, I was hoping he wouldn't even see me, but I just turned it down to like medium. Oh my God, the hell that followed, because I turned the pan down to medium. I can't even remember how long he castigated me for that, because there was something personal he took. Like I was saying, this is what I was actually saying when I went to turn the heat down to medium. What I was really saying was, you suck. You don't know how to make fried eggs. I know how to do this. You're pathetic. He said all these things. He was like, all of this was coming out of his mouth. And I'm thinking, I just thought that the house was going to catch on fire. I just wanted to turn it down before you put the eggs in. So these kind of things are, again, I just stood back as I did on all of these moments and was like, okay, note to self, don't help him in any way whatsoever in the kitchen. That's fine. I just stayed away from him. After that, I let him, whatever. Yeah. One of the things that, so this, because a narcissist is, again, like I talked about yesterday, and did I talk about that yesterday, double lives? I think so, multiple lives, maybe that was the day before. Because a narcissist is, and they have endless amounts of energy to do this, right? Have you noticed that they never run out of energy to inflict pain and suffering upon whoever they can, right? But especially, yeah, they have immense amounts of energy to do this. So, but even that, because they're spinning and they're pathological liars, they're just, you know, putting on all these masks depending on who they're talking to. That's a lot to handle, to juggle, right? So that's why they're constantly afraid that they're going to drop a ball and be found out. And what they're also afraid of is somebody's going to figure them out. Somebody's going to pull the curtain on the wizard and say, dude, you're just like a little short bald dude with a microphone, right? That's what happened to me when I finally pulled the curtain back, and I'm like, oh my God, I thought you had all this power. I thought you were all powerful, and you were, you know, so that's what they're afraid of, is that curtain's going to be pulled back. So it makes sense that they're, yes, yesterday was financial abuse. Thanks, Trish. So it makes sense that they're constantly in this state of, I mean, think about it. If you're juggling constantly, you're in a constant state of, oh my God, I'm going to drop a ball, or somebody's going to figure out that I, you know, or wearing all these masks, somebody's going to figure it out. Like maybe I'll put on the wrong mask for the wrong person. You don't know. Okay, so the paranoia comes in. This is the fun part. So in my case, all the paranoia, again, it was very subtle. And now I just have so much to laugh. It's great, because whenever I need a mood lift, I just need to think about one of these incidences and it'll get me giggling. So these are the types of things that I was constantly, and this adds into, it's all tied in together with a narcissist. It's tied in with the pathological lying. It's tied in with the gaslighting. It's tied in with the double life, right? It's tied into all of that. And here's what I find super interesting is it's always the victim that feels like the crazy one, right? I remember when I was at the end, I felt totally crazy. That's what I hear from all the women over the years that have reached out to me, that I've worked with, that I've talked to, we all get to that place where we feel like we're the crazy one. And it doesn't help that the narcissist is gaslighting us to make us feel crazy. When in essence, who's really the crazy one? Who's really the crazy one? For example, I don't even, again, I don't have the words. I need a word, people. I don't want to say my ex because that's ownership. I'll say the ex narcissist / stalker. We don't know what to call him yet. I need help in that department. Anyway, there was a theme to his paranoia, and it had to do with other people finding out about him, but it was to a point that I didn't understand. Now, it started to make more sense to me once I discovered, during the day that during the topic when we were talking about red flags. So when I was discovering red flags about his past, for example, having an alias, that was a big one. And, being in this country, not taking the proper road, which is why he had an alias. So there was a lot of paranoia that he had with, I'm sure he still does, with law enforcement. He was paranoid of all the instances, and there were a few during our marriage where, let's say, police or sheriff were coming to ask him questions because there were, again, remember narcissist double life? This is part of the double life of his that nobody but me, I knew it. I was the secret keeper. That day we talked about all the secrets that we have. I was a secret keeper. I still in so many ways am his secret keeper because he's still got this charade going, this double life. And at the time when he was, just his name was a little known with police. I'll just stop right there. Anyway, he was no stranger. His name was no stranger to that. So we did get visits from time to time over the years. And again, this is part of the double life that nobody knew. Pretty sure nobody there where he lives knows. Definitely not about the past, right, of all these things. So there was a part of the paranoia that I did understand just because of, like I said, the first red flags that I learned about, but it was even, there was something like he would get crazy sweaty and he'd get so nervous. And this is when he'd come to me and he'd be super, super nice. These are those moments where, because he needed me, right? Because he was potentially going to be in trouble. So he needed me. So he would come to me and, he'd always start by saying, well, either I had to talk to the police today, or the police are going to come talk to me, or they're going to come talk to you, or they're going to ask me questions, or they might ask you some questions. These are things, people, that all the people buying a ticket to his show, they don't know this. They don't know this because I was a secret keeper. I kept all those secrets. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. All they knew was the fantastic, great, charming, you know how narcissists do that. They're really good at that. But when he would come to me, there were so many times over the years, but he would be so nervous and he would be really paranoid. The one thing he was always like paranoid about What are they accusing me of that's not true? It really is true, but I can't let anybody know it's true. But I knew it was true because I was a secret keeper, right? That's why he needed me to, which I did. I was a good wife. I was a good wife, and I stuck by him, and I stood up for him, and I lied for him, not to the police. Don't come after me. I'm a good citizen. I didn't lie to the police. But I did what I consider lying is because I did not tell it wasn't that I lied by speaking, but I lied by deception, by helping him cover up, right? So things, but he would still be, oh my God, it would scare the shit out of him. Like his lips would quiver and oh my God, he'd be so scared. And then the minute that the threat passed or washed over or just sort of went away, he was back. He was back to his arrogant, cold self, right? Who's like, I got this under control. So it's like they go from, that transition is crazy to watch. I know a lot of you out there have this experience, right? Because most often with narcissists, true narcissists, it's the wife, right? Or the spouse, the secret keeper. We're the secret keepers. We're the only one in the entire world sometimes that knows the truth about this other person. So y'all know what I'm talking about there. Oh my gosh, he would get so scared. And I always knew, because I always knew when he wanted something from me. And I knew when he needed me to, again, like go to bat for him, cover it up, stand up for him. He needed me to present the picture of, oh, look at those two. Look at that couple. They are the upstanding members of the community together, right? And so he would attach on to me in those moments so that all the shit that he did hopefully would not stick to him, because he'd glob onto me. But I remember when he would come, and I always knew it because he would be and I always had like a radar, like a warning go off, because I'm like, oh shit, something's coming. Like either bad news is coming, or he wants something from me, or because that was the only time that he would come to me, especially like the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That's the only time he'd come to me, in that, he'd come very softly, sweet. He'd have a very soft tone of voice, loving. He'd probably say something to me first, like to sort of throw me off, give me a compliment. And then he'd be like, babe, I need to tell you something. Okay. Some of these things included like, no, I don't regret anything. I did what I did. I didn't know what I didn't know at the time that I didn't know it. I did these things. I put up with them. We've all done this. I'm not taking the blame. But when there was I know a lot of you have read my piece, I was married to a sexual predator. I was, to a pervert. I've told you that story. Remember, when I was in high school, I used to get the old guys who were like 45, 50 to buy us beer, the perverts. Yeah, that's who I married. I married one of them. So once there was actually police involved, because there was a young woman, young, she was legal, but she was still young, who was renting an apartment from us. This was pretty early on too in our marriage. So again, now that I look back, I see it all, no surprises there of who he was. Anyway, I remember when he came to me to explain the situation, And the situation is that the police had been contacted by this girl's father. Understandably so. Understandably so, this father would be pissed off because he, of course, had the keys to all the tenants' apartments, and he would go into her apartment without notice. Sometimes when she was in the bathroom or showering. Now, nothing ever, it was just that. Supposedly his story was an innocent mistake. Oops. Okay. When it happens more than once, and there was no reason for him to go into her apartment at that time, that was the thing he was worried about, because he was trying to make up something. Why? Anyway, people, this is the shit that happens. So lots more. We're just dealing with this stuff constantly over the years, combined with this fragile ego. And again, I'm saying, I'm talking about this subtle paranoia because narcissists are, again, inherently filled with shame and are cowards. And they do fear being found out. The other thing they do is, I should say in my case, but this common thread of paranoia and delusion, which now gives me much to giggle about. Now looking back, I can see that it was all a matter of, this is a mask he was wearing. So one of the masks that was super important to him, still is this mask that he wears in public, that he is a good, upstanding citizen, that he's a hell of a guy, that he's charming, all of that. He's a good guy. He's one of the good guys, right? That was an important mask for him to wear. So when he was doing all this not so good guy shit behind the scenes, still does, no wonder that he had this subtle paranoia of being found out, right? That makes sense. Yes, like Carla's saying, they all fear being found out. And who especially is the one to pull back that curtain? It's us, the secret keepers. That's who it is. And you know what I say to you? Pull back those fucking curtains, people. You owe nothing. You owe nothing to the so-called wizard who's been destroying your life and acting all powerful. You owe nothing. Pull that curtain back and expose. Okay. I remember, oh gosh, there's so many funny moments. But overall, he was very paranoid about, the one thing he was most paranoid was that there was going to be some sort of scourge or plague that was going to happen in our lifetime. He frequently would say, because again, we lived in a 10,000 square foot house on 10 acres, out in the country, out in the wild. Of the Wild West. So it was important to him that me and our children understood that any moment now, a plague could happen. The bird flu. He was particularly interested in the bird flu. I do not know why. So there were things that we had to do to prepare. He watched the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman, where there's a plague, I guess, that kills everybody, like it's in the air. You just breathe in it. He was, it was like that movie was not a movie, but it was a documentary, because he took it to heart, like that was going to happen. I did things like, instead of buying 1 can of beans, I'd buy 4, just in case. It actually kind of was convenient because, you know, then I didn't have to go to the store as much. I just stocked up on food. Oh my gosh, this is funny. So then he watched the movie. He really shouldn't watch movies. This is the lesson in this. He just really shouldn't watch movies. Narcissists just shouldn't watch movies. They get too many crazy ideas. So he watched Panic Room. I think it was called Panic Room with Jodie Foster. And then we had to, in our 10,000 square foot house, he built a safe room. He built a safe room, and we had a friend who was a hunter, but he was a bow and arrow hunter, right? He didn't use guns. He used bow and arrows. And so it was really important that he was friends of our family, because when it all came down, I don't know why guns were going to be gone, but when it all came down and shit hit the fan, we would have arrows to go kill the deer. We had a lot of deer on our property, lots. This seems crazy, but this wasn't like he was walking around ranting these crazy. No, it was just woven into our conversation. Yes, Mitz, he built a safe room. It's still there, people. I'm sure it's all stocked. I'm sure it is. He might have a TV in there, because you probably want a TV in there when you go hide. But again, these weren't just, he's not walking around like some crazy psychopath just with these rantings. You know, this was very subtly woven into our conversations, just as the fact of that, you know, other weird delusions he had was that, I remember when I first met him, and I like plants, right? I even got a plant in here. I have plants all over my house. I love plants. I talk to my plant. I love plants. But he was like, no, we can't have plants in the bedroom because they steal oxygen. And so he didn't want to like be asleep and then he lose all the oxygen in the room. He wouldn't be able to breathe. At the time, I didn't think this was true, and we didn't have Google back then. This is like back in, you know, 2000. Or at least we didn't. I didn't. Access to just do an internet search. So I was like, that doesn't sound right, but whatever. I didn't have plants in the bedroom, just so he could sleep better. Crazy shit. Even when, this is how, the reason I'm doing this is not only to laugh, and I hope that all of you can go find your friends or whoever you can go laugh with and talk about this crazy shit and just laugh about it. Just let yourself laugh about it. It's okay. Again, you're not making fun of somebody. You're turning your pain into laughter. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, steal the oxygen. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't have plants in my bedroom. Now I do. I have lots of them. And so far I'm okay. So far I can breathe. But again, the reason that I'm doing this is just to, you know, sometimes we need permission to laugh about these things, because we're also at the same time filled with so much guilt and shame and self-judgment and victim blaming even ourselves for our experience of what happened to us. So it's good to, you know, just to laugh about this. Oh, Carla says that her ex's family are doomsday preppers too. Yeah, that was funny. But it was because of these movies. You know, it was like the bird flu was going to take us out. And I remember my oldest son and I, we'd be laughing because we're like, you do know we live like 2 hours from Yellowstone. Like that has a much more bigger chance of taking us all out, including the whole state. Yeah, with Old Faithful exploding. We had a much higher chance of that happening than whatever outbreak was in that movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. Afterward, the delusion and paranoia didn't stop. So after I left, and again, this came at a place where I didn't know yet that I was being stalked and cyber stalked. I didn't I had been out for about probably, I don't know, maybe a year at that point. I'm not quite sure. But it was before that I found out I was being stalked and cyber stalked. So I was still in a place of pain and hurting, but I wasn't yet in that place of where I wasn't talking to him anymore because I found out he was stalking me. I thought that was a good thing to do, was cut off contact with him. So out of the blue one morning, and I remember it was, I was in a place where if I made it through the day without tears falling, it was a really good day. So that's the place I was in at this time. And it was also the time that the Ebola, that first American or whoever brought it over, right? And the first person died in America. Right when that happened, of course, remember it was all over the news and everybody's like, oh my God. So yes, it was scary. So right after that happened, I get a text, and we were really not talking at that time. So I get a text out of the blue from him saying that now that the Ebola virus has hit this country, it's going to spread like wildfire. So I was to gather up our children and my mother and my father, who, by the way, were divorced, and there's no way in hell, even with an outbreak or a plague, would ever go into a safe room together. It's not happening, people. Never in a million years. And he, of course, he knew this. He's like, get your mom and dad. And my father at the time, by the way, he had another family, and I don't know what he was supposed to do about that family. And we were supposed to come to where, you know, our house, into the safe room. And we had those, you know, friend with the bow and arrows who could hunt for us, hunt food. And we were going to stay there until the Ebola virus, you know, faded away. I have to tell you, that was a really good day because of all the tears I had been crying for so long. I just had a laugh out loud, an LOL moment. Oh my gosh, that was great. That was so great. Okay, again, this is because you know, this also explains if any of you have had this experience where especially in the beginning when you're with a narcissist and you don't know yet that they're a narcissist, and you're just confused a lot of the time because you're like, okay, why are they acting like this? And now with this person, they're acting like this, right? It was weird. And so this plays into that, you know, the narcissist, the multiple lives that they lead because of the multiple masks that they're wearing, and they have to make sure that they are not figured out. People don't figure them out and they fall off. Well, some people out there do figure out, even when we don't, even when we're married to them and we're sitting right there and we can't figure them out. Some people, I would say it's not on a regular occasion, but there are you know, a rare amount of people who do know narcissists or know just bad people right away. And the narcissist knows who these people are. And that's why you'll see them. If you ever think back to situations where a narcissist is like, acts differently with one particular person, like there's no charm going on, there's no, you know, like when I was with him, he was, especially in the beginning, he was like all charm all the time, especially with women, like all the flipping time. It was never turned off. But then I would see instances, and likewise, all these people, women, I will say, you know, 98% of them, they were responding just like I responded. Although he was my husband at the time, so that was a little, that's not cool. Ladies, don't do that. I know none of you do that here. So send the message out to other ladies. Don't do that. Don't buy into, anyway, you know what I'm saying. But they would, yeah, they would just give, you know, a narcissist needs supply, right? That's why they, so I would watch him as he would work the room with every lady. Like I've said, every vagina in a 50-foot radius, he'd work it, and they would come to him and they would laugh at his jokes. It didn't matter their age, didn't matter if they were married, it didn't matter if their husband was standing right there. I can't even tell you how he would do this sometimes, and it took a particular kind of husband to let this happen. Just as it took me, I would stand back when he was doing his thing and I wouldn't say anything, right? Another woman, stronger woman at the time, I'm strong now, it wasn't then, but another woman would have been like to her husband, what the fuck? Like, knock that shit off. That's embarrassing. Don't flirt right in front of me. That's cruel. That's stupid. You're not doing that. So I didn't. I would just stand there, and because I didn't want to be seen like a bitch, so I just stood there and smiled. Fake smile. I'm really bad at the fake smile. I'm so bad at it. And likewise, there were men who were similar to me who would stand there while he flirted with their wives. And just, I remember I was like, sometimes I'd catch his eye or he'd catch my eye, you know, the other husband, and we're like, well, this is fun. So this whole charade is constantly going on, and everybody's buying his act, except there's always somebody who comes along who doesn't buy it. And that's when you see a narcissist, like, they'll just act different. And you can't figure it out at the time, but they'll just act different. Either they'll be offish, or they'll be like, they'll turn around and tell you, I don't like that guy or girl, you know, I don't want you to see him, or I don't want you to see her, something like that. It's because there are those people who, even if they are not aware of it. So I'll give you an example. With my friend Mitzi, and I know she wasn't even aware of it at the time, but Mitzi is like one of the greatest friends to have. Every girl needs a friend like this, because she's the one who, when you are with an asshole, she'll tell you you're with an asshole, and she will not put up with assholes treating her friends badly. That's a great friend to have. So I had not seen my good high school friend for years and years and years, because when we get into relationships with narcissists, right, we get isolated and we push out people who are healthy for us. So we still talk. I think we talk like once a year on the phone, but I hadn't seen her in years and years. And so when there was a point after I had had my second son, that we were going to go see my good friend. So up until that point, I had told her, like, I was just raving about this guy and this man I had found, and how wonderful, and he's so this, and he's so, because he was just like, he was the party, the life of the party, and all the energy in the room, and just could make anybody laugh and all of that. So I was just raving and raving and raving. And when we got there and we went and I think had dinner the first time, it was just going to be a quick trip to see them, he was just silent. I had no idea who this guy was. He was silent. He was barely answering questions. He didn't seem like he wanted to be there. It was weird. And Mitzi, of course, being all polite and her awesome self and trying to maybe make him feel comfortable or whatever, I don't know. And I was like, what's going on? And I even said to him that night after we left, I'm like, what's going on? And I don't even remember what he said. There was something weird about, well, now I know. Because even if my friend didn't know it at the time, or maybe she did, maybe she sensed it, his energy or something, because everything I had told my friend about this fantastic man I had found, everything I told her, it was completely the opposite that he showed her. That's because he knew. He knew there was no mask he could put on. She wasn't going to buy it. So why try? Why try? Right? Isn't that funny? And guess what? Now me and Mitzi are still friends. We got rid of that. So that's the moral of the story there. But anyway, so there are these people, right? There are people in the world who, for whatever reason, they just pick up on the bad energy of shitty people. you know? They may not, they may, you know, right when you meet somebody, there are people out there. And like my friend Mitz always was, even in high school, she was like that with the boys I would date. She's like, no. But now I'm in that place where, you know, I can sense. So there are those people out there who, and kudos to all those people. I wish there were more of them. I wish there were as many of those people as there are narcissists. Because narcissists wouldn't stand a chance. But you know, maybe this will trigger those memories you have of thinking that, oh, that's why she didn't like so and so, and a lot of times these are the excuses that narcissists will use to isolate you from people, because they know who the healthy people are, and they know who the people are who have them figured out, and that's why they'll either badmouth them behind their back, or they'll just isolate you from them. You know, it's crazy shit. Yes, Trish, Mitzi has superpowers. I know. It's true. I learned from the best. Okay. This was super fun to do today because we all need this laugh. I encourage you to go find your best girlfriends or your best friends and go have some laughs. This, you are owed this. Don't ever feel guilty for, you know, laughing at turning your pain into laughter. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth also. You know, I advocate for tell your truth. Like Anne Lamott says, if people wanted you to write or speak warmly about them, they should have behaved better. That's my motto. If he didn't want me to tell, if he didn't want me to, if he wanted me to say nice things about him and have good stories to tell, then he should have behaved. But he didn't. So I'm not keeping those secrets anymore. Sorry. Somebody tell him. You don't really need to tell him because he's got his flying monkeys around. I know. That's okay. Hello, welcome. Okay. I hope that at least today was a chance to just breathe and giggle and, you know, all of this stuff that we're going through. It's super hard. It's really painful. And some days it can just feel hopeless, like you're never going to get through it. That's why, you know, finding humor, no matter how dark it is, find people. Like I have found people who have a dark humor that matches mine. You think you're the only one with it. I almost used to feel bad about myself, because I'm like, wow, that's really dark. No, there's other people. There's other dark people like me out there. So, okay, I want to leave you with, I already left you my website, so if you want to get a free copy of my book, also if you want to win an autographed copy, and I'll send it to you in the mail of my my book, the hardcover, just share any one of my videos. The more you share, the more entries you get. I will now include the event page, as I do every single day. Because we will be in Chris Godinez and I. A lot of you know Chris from her YouTube channel. She's amazing, awesome, narcissist expert like no other. We travel around the country together and talk to small groups. And we are going to be in Reno, September 14th, coming up next Saturday. If you're in the area, I would love to see you. Get your tickets now, though. Our last 2 events sold out. We keep the events really small. It's on a Saturday afternoon. It's a great way to spend a few hours. We keep them really small because we just want a nice, safe space so that everybody can be heard, tell their story, get support, get guidance, get some love, some hugs, all of that juicy, good stuff. All right, people. It's been super fun today. And I will be here tomorrow talking about something related to narcissists. There's so much to talk about. Oh my God. And I'd love to hear your funny stories still, like in the comments, or because I know y'all have some. I know you have some. And I see Annette. Yes, Annette, we are, I think I told everybody, we are going to climb a mountain with a bottle of wine, and we are going to, oh wow, we're going to be up there a long time with all of our stories, all of our funny stories. You will hear our laughter echoing across the sky. We might need 2 bottles of wine for that. All right, everybody, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.